If you want to get involved with this show, then the numbers to call are as follows. If you've got any questions about Spanish taxation, because I've been joined in the studio by Miguel from Spence Clarke. Miguel, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We were just chatting before we went on air about England versus Spain. La Roja have been absolutely amazing.
That would be the ideal final match for the Euro Cup.
Can you imagine?
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. Yeah, if 5-0 to Spain.
We are the wrong side of the quadro because we have to beat Germany first.
Yeah. But
Georgia permitting, of course, and then we have to beat either France or Portugal, so it's going to be quite challenging.
Yeah, but
From your side, you only have Italy, apparently, and then Turkey.
Yeah, just don't. That's it.
I'm terribly tired today. It's not only because I'm watching every single match of the Euro Cup,
right,
and then the afterwards events just to talk about that, but also the last night. The rainstorm and the thunders.
Yes.
I could not sleep last night. It was like the end of the world was above my house.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are feeling that. There was a tremendous crack of thunder, exactly, and then the rain, boom. But yes. So we can make our conversation as exciting as the Euros. But if any questions, these are the numbers to get involved with the show.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Those are the numbers to get in touch, of course, if you've got any questions, because we are going to be tackling. And when this arrived in my inbox, I was like, okay, because here we go, because we're talking about something very interesting and always developing, shall we say. Everybody's always got a point of view on this, because today we are talking about...
Yeah, the relationships between Spain and Gibraltar, forgetting about the political side. I do not want to get into that.
Exactly.
Mainly from a tax and business point of view, because we have been having a long-standing relationship with them. I started my practice working 25 years ago, and I got astonished when I realized that there were more than 35,000 Gibraltar companies having investments in Spain. It became very popular in the 80s and in the 90s, setting up a Gibraltar company, mostly by Brits, to buy properties in Spain, to buy buildings, to buy hotels, to buy golf courses as well. And it was merely because of legitimately avoidance of taxes, because if we bring back to the picture of the 80s and the 90s, the capital gain tax for non-resident individuals selling a property was 35%. Can you imagine?
Oh.
For Spanish residents was no more than 15-18%, so that was a huge mismatching. To make it worse, wealth tax, non-resident individuals had to pay wealth tax for the ownership of assets they were owning in Spain without any de minimis. That was also a significant cost. A cost because UK residents could not deduct or offset these taxes in the UK because basically you are very lucky and you do not have wealth tax to pay in the island. Even worse, inheritance tax. In the UK you have inter-spouse exemption for the inheritance between spouses. And in the 80s, 90s, even through the first decade of the year 2000, there was no inter-spouse exemption in Spain. So that represented a real cost. All these matters could be mitigated legitimately by setting up a foreign company just to hold the properties owned in Spain. And Gibraltar was there. It is only 100 kilometers from here.
Yeah.
And it is why it became so and so popular.
It was, I mean, at that point, I remember because I was here in the 80s and everybody who was buying a property, you can set up a Gibraltar, because Gibraltar is offshore. You had the offshore banking industry. It was seen like Jersey or Guernsey. And this was seen as a legitimate way of buying a house, buying a property.
Absolutely, everything was very well developed, and again, it was legitimate for tax planning purposes. Of course, things change, and things are. Anything you can predict except two things: death and taxation. And then the taxation of all these matters have been changing dramatically over the last years, no? To the extent that Spain introduced lots of anti-avoidance measures against the use of tax-having jurisdictions, and logically, Gibraltar was regarded as a tax haven. Capital gain tax now is 19% for non-resident individuals, as opposed to the historic 35%. Therefore, the use of Gibraltar companies was becoming less being attractive.
Yeah.
Wealth tax. What can we say about wealth tax? What we have said over the last couple of years attending to these radio shows, it has suffered lots of changes.
Yeah.
From having a 700,000 euro exemption, from having a total abolition of the taxation between 2008 and 11, and now everything is managed by all the regions.
Yeah,
and in Andalusia, we had the 100% exemption at last in 2022, and now we have the great fortunes tax.
That's always my favorite tax, not to actually have it, but it's just the tax of the grandes fortunas grandes, which makes it sound like a very large cigarette. But anyway,
absolutely. So all these things again made the use of the companies less and less attractive, to the extent that the use of those is now residual. We no longer have inheritance tax in Andalusia for the inheritance between spouses and between parents and children. The law changed in 2018 to the extent that even after the Brexit, every non-resident individual who owns an asset, a property in Andalusia, can apply for this 99% exemption on inheritance. So things are more efficient. The UK-Spanish double tax treaty that changed in 2014. Now, if you sell the shares of a company that owns a property in Spain, the capital gain tax has to be paid in Spain because it's where the property is located. Then you can apply the double tax relief in the UK. But historically, prior to 2014, if you were selling the shares of your Gibraltar company that owned the property in Spain, there was no capital gain tax to pay in Spain. So you can see all these changes that historically have been happening. It's
interesting. It's interesting the relationship between Spain and Gibraltar in terms of taxation and Gibraltar's financial status, because back in the 80s and the 90s, there were quite a few problems that Gibraltar had with some of the banking, some of the finance, and at one point there was a blacklist, wasn't there? There was a blacklist famously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said in the beginning that I did not want to talk about politics or politicians, but I have to.
But however, yes.
Yeah, Gibraltar is very far away. Andalusia is very far away from the discussions and arguments that the UK authorities and the Spanish ones are having. I would say that Gibraltar, since 2010, is no longer recognized as a tax haven jurisdiction by the OECD, right? Because it already signed more than 13 or 14 double tax treaties with the exchange of information with different jurisdictions. It's only Spain which is regarding Gibraltar as a tax haven jurisdiction for historic reasons, and also because of political reasons, which is making things more and more interesting, to be honest.
So, I mean, as I said, since 2010, Gibraltar has, if you like, it's no longer on the blacklist. It's made a huge effort against money laundering. And it's come into line with the rest of the EU and some of these tax agreements. Yeah,
precisely. Gibraltar has adopted all these measures to fight against tax fraud, evasion, etc. They signed the agreement of exchange of tax information with Spain through the UK.
Yeah.
They also subscribed for the CRS, the Common Reporting Standard, for the exchange of all the financial information for all their bank account holders through all the countries that subscribe for that. So everything has become very efficient, even for Spanish residents, just to do with investments there, as long as they declare that they have bank accounts there, as long as they declare that they have their investments somehow there. It is practical and viable.
So, I mean, we mentioned La Línea and Algeciras, the company Gibraltar, and the employment that it brings. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, we can talk about the border in a little while because hey, why not? But presumably, it's the way you are taxed. So, if you're working in Spain and going across Gibraltar, the tax implications for that. I mean, it's because obviously since Brexit, this has become much more complicated for those working. I mean, Spanish residents as well. I mean, just if you can make it simple, what's the situation with people?
I see your point. It's quite a challenging and complex area. I mean, one of our areas of expertise is tax planning, right? To define tax residence in Spain, or even individuals who want to migrate and establish tax residency in Gibraltar. There are lots of rules that are applicable in the two countries that have to be taken with great care. We have been helping clients just to survive from heavy tax inspections made by the Spanish tax authorities when they did not have any founded arguments just to fight against that. And logically, in 2021, the UK and the Spanish tax authorities subscribed for some sort of agreement of cooperation for tax and financial matters, just to define or make sure that Gibraltar was not in the limbo after the execution of Brexit.
Yeah.
That was very important for Gibraltar. And they were very interesting topics because they were trying to define under which circumstances a person could be regarded as being tax resident in Gibraltar or in Spain, when such individuals had interest in the two places, in the two jurisdictions. And to be honest, they have made things a little more difficult, in my view.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's a matter of proving where you have your center of vital interest, where you are having your home, where you're having your employment, where you are having your financial asset. I'll give you an example. Now they have made a very strong definition that you are tax resident in Spain for a Gibraltarian if you spend more than 183 nights in Spain. Right? They have made that very specific definition to try to simplify the way that you can prove where you're having your vital interest whatsoever. For Spanish nationals, for example, me, if I wanted to go to Gibraltar, they have made it very clear in this agreement that even if I go to Gibraltar, while it remains being a tax haven, I will have to pay my taxes in Spain as if I was a tax resident forever.
Right.
Like the Americans. It's amazing. And for non-Spanish nationals who have been living in Spain and want to go to Gibraltar, they would have to file their taxes as being tax residents in Spain for 4 years.
Right. Okay.
Can you believe it?
Well, it's the thing is, Miguel, they write tax laws. They write tax laws in London or Madrid or whatever, and then they don't understand that there are little interesting places, and Gibraltar is definitely an interesting place, and it has a very specific geography and history, which makes it doesn't fit into the normal rules, if you like.
Very, very, but also, you can have to understand that both the UK authorities and the Spanish ones wanted to have something sensible. In respect of companies, Gibraltar companies, the topic of today, through this agreement, which is enforceable since 2022, it states that if a Gibraltar company, its main assets are located in Spain, or if the majority of their directors are tax residents in Spain, that Gibraltar company automatically becomes tax resident in Spain for corporation tax purposes. So it's all crazy because there are lots of factors that have to be taken into consideration. So these companies that purchase properties in Spain directly are now regarded as being tax residents in Spain.
So is there any advantage in having a Gibraltar company then? And if I set up Giles Brown Holdings Gibraltar Limited, operating out of Euro Towers, but I'm living here and I'm doing my work here, then it will be regarded as a Spanish company by the Spanish tax authorities.
The only thing would be if the majority of your business income derives from Gibraltar and not from Spain.
Yeah.
That's totally legitimate and very tax advantageous, because the corporation tax in Gibraltar for businesses is 12.5%. Compare it to the Spanish corporation tax of 23-25%. So we are talking about a massive saving.
This is the sort of thing that you're not going to want to do I'm not going to want to do on my own, because tax in Spain is always interesting, very interesting. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, okay. Doing tax as it relates between Gibraltar and Spain, the company, is even more interesting. Then it's not something you can learn from the internet or a YouTube video.
Not really. As always, an article, a specific legislation can be half a page, but the jurisprudence, tax rulings, interpretation can be half a book.
Yeah.
So it is always a case-to-case matter that needs to be analyzed in terms of making sure that all the arrangements are done in the most tax-efficient way.
And the thing is, we normally talk tax, but you can't talk about Gibraltar and Spain and the UK without, unfortunately, they bring in the political.
That's the problem, because none of the countries, Spain and the UK, recognize the sovereign of Gibraltar. Although you will have heard that because of the implementation of Brexit and having Gibraltar in this kind of sort of limbo for the last couple of years, they are now under heavy discussions, negotiations and arrangements between the UK, between the Spanish authorities, including the attendance of the Gibraltar authorities, and moreover, Junta de Andalucía and the mayors of the most relevant cities in the Campo de Gibraltar. Exactly. Just to set up some kind of arrangement, just to make everything simpler. For example, they are talking about getting rid of the border. Do you imagine no longer having to queue when you go to Gibraltar or when you want to leave Gibraltar by car? Or just simply walk by there, just simply as if you were going from San Pedro to Marbella.
Can you imagine they try and rename La Linea is East Gibraltar? That would be really interesting. This is the thing though, because in theory, if we were aliens, we think, okay, you do this, you get rid of the border, you have the airport, you have an international zone, not a problem. It brings trade, but it's a two-way street. It's good for Spain. It's great for Andalusia. Unemployment for La Linea goes down, etc.
It creates synergies between the two places. More than 15,000 Spanish people are going from La Linea to Gibraltar to work every day.
That's incredible.
That represents more or less 50% of the employment which is available in the Rock. This is huge, right? Just simply the money which is collected by the employees, by the Spanish employees in Gibraltar, represents 15% of the turnover made by the Campo de Gibraltar. So this is something that needs to be seriously taken into consideration. Also, the Rock is what it is. It's as big or as small as it is. And the demand of properties, whoever cannot afford living in Gibraltar, they have to live in La Linea as well. Sure. So Gibraltarians have to go back to La Linea, buy a property there or rent from there. So it's also creating all these type of circumstances. Another area that they want to discuss, and there's a huge confrontation, is that Spain is wanting Gibraltar and the UK to accept to share the use of the airport. Share the use and also expand it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I was listening to a program a few weeks ago suggesting that the area where the Gib airport is located was given by the Spanish authorities many years ago for them to build some sort of hospital, and then they took over possession of everything. I mean, this is very funny. This is all politicals. But it is what it is. Just imagine that there was a bigger airport in Gibraltar for shared use. Just imagine that there was a special area through the Campo de Gibraltar whereby both jurisdictions could set up infrastructures for common use, with a reduced corporation tax rate also for the Spanish businesses who want to implement
like a free trade zone.
Campo de Gibraltar is one of the places in Spain with the highest unemployment rates. I mean, it is very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, whilst La Línea is very happy and is promoting those ideas, Algeciras, which is 10 kilometers ahead, they are refusing that because they have one of the biggest ports in Europe.
Yeah.
They have their Zona Franca. They have other amenities that they would not like to have in competition with the Gibraltar authorities. This is why there is a huge confrontation, not only between Spain, the UK, and Gibraltar, but also locally between the different political parties who are governing these municipalities.
But if you think about it, and we are really going, if they made that a zone, and as you said, it's letting you work together, and you get that Franca area, then you have this fantastic trade hub.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a big airport, with Tangier Med across for Africa, and they've got Tangier Med has got a great motorway system going out of it. You upgrade the train link from Algeciras, which is, and then you build new networks onto Sevilla and etc. etc.
Exactly. Even more exciting, Gibraltar would no longer have to go to Portugal for the Gibraltar football competitions. They could use the one in La Línea. They could reform it, make it bigger.
What's the name of the football team there?
I think it's Linense Balompié or something like that, right? Yeah. So things are becoming to be very exciting, but because of the European elections that we have just had, and the elections that are now incoming in the UK, things have now been stopped, paralyzed, and I suspect that all the discussions and debates that they have had so far are going to mean nothing, and they will have to start again, possibly with a new political party governing the UK.
Yeah, what always used to make me laugh about 10 years ago was when Partido Popular, or whenever a foreign minister or somebody would say something about Gibraltar, like controversial, you would say, okay, I'm not going to go to the border today because you know it's going to be shut down, because it's like, okay, boom. But just because we've only got 5 minutes left, so just to sum up.
The message is that we have a big expertise on tax planning, national and international taxation. We can help together with our business colleagues that we have in Gibraltar, just to help individuals and businesses to establish from Spain to Gibraltar and vice versa, because it's very important to know all the rules surrounding the two different sites to make sure that the implementation in one place or the other is done by the book and in the most tax efficient way.
Superb. If people want to find out more information, get in touch with you. Go and read the excellent blogs. Even somebody like me can understand them. So, where is the best place to go?
Well, pick up the phone and phone us at 952-822943, or just visit our website www.spenceclarke.com.
As always, it's been great to have you with us. I think we got away with that. We talked football, we talked Gibraltar. We managed not to get anybody in too much trouble. But as always, Miguel Angel, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure, as always. Thank you very much.